You know, when a brand that feels like it's on every single street corner suddenly announces it's closing hundreds of stores, well, you'd probably think it's the beginning of the end. But for 7-Eleven, this isn't a story about failure. Nope. This is a story about survival, and it tells us a lot about a massive shift that's happening right under our noses.
And this is the number that's causing all the panic. 645. We're not talking about over a decade either. That's how many 7-Elevens are shutting down in North America in just 1 year. For a brand this huge, a number that big, it feels like a total earthquake.
So, it makes you wonder, right? Is this American icon, the home of the Slurpee and the late-night hot dog, is it just disappearing right before our eyes? Well, the short answer is no. But the real answer, it reveals this high-stakes gamble to completely reinvent what a convenience store even is.
To really get what's going on, we have to look past that big, scary number. Because this isn't just about shutting down stores. It's a very deliberate, very calculated pivot. See, while that 645 number is huge, it's only half the story. At the exact same time, 7-Eleven announced they're opening 205 brand new stores. So this isn't a panicked retreat, it's what you'd call a calculated cull. They're not just closing stores, they are actively replacing them.
And get this isn't some sudden reaction to a bad year. They've been doing this for 5 straight years, closing more stores than they open. It's a long-term, deliberate pruning. So what was so wrong with the old 7-Eleven that they needed to do this kind of painful multi-year surgery?
And that brings us to the core of the problem. It wasn't just about money. 7-Eleven was facing a crisis of relevance. The whole world of convenience stores changed around them, and for a long time, they just didn't.
And here's the problem in a nutshell. I mean, think about the new guys on the block, like Wawa or Sheetz. They're bright. They actually smell like fresh food. They're places you might actually choose to go for lunch. Meanwhile, the public's idea of a lot of 7-Elevens became, well, a place you stop for gas, maybe a lottery ticket. They weren't just old, they were becoming kind of obsolete.
And look, this isn't just some business analyst take. This is what customers are feeling. This quote right here perfectly captures the image problem they're up against. When your brand starts to feel grimy, you've got a serious problem that a new coat of paint is just not going to fix.
This is where the stakes get really, really high for the brand. Industry analysts started whispering the one name no company wants to hear. Sears. You know, the giant that seemed completely invincible until suddenly it wasn't. 7-Eleven was staring down that exact same path and knew it had to pivot, and pivot fast to avoid the same fate. So, facing that potential Sears moment, 7-Eleven didn't just decide to remodel a few stores. No, they launched what you could call the Great Food Pivot, a plan to completely change the reason you would ever even think about walking into one of their stores in the first place. And at the heart of this entire shift is this one key concept, the destination store. The old way of thinking was simple. Use cheap gas to lure people in and then hope they grab a soda on the way out. The new model, it flips that completely. The goal is to make the store so good, you'll go there even if your gas tank is totally full. So here's the playbook, broken down into 3 simple steps. First, you call the old. That's the 645 closures we're talking about. Get rid of all those small, outdated, grimy locations. Second, you build the new, those 205 bigger stores designed around food. And third, you shift the entire mission of the company. It's a total overhaul.
So what does this new 7-Eleven actually look and feel like? Well, imagine walking in and seeing fresh tacos and salads instead of just those hot dogs that have been rolling for who knows how long. Picture a coffee bar that could actually compete with Starbucks, not a gas station. And see a store that's bright and clean enough that you might actually want to sit down for a minute. That is the destination they're trying to build.
But here's the thing. This is way bigger than just 7-Eleven. This entire strategy is a huge signal for where the whole convenience retail industry is going. And it all comes back to a fundamental shift in why we even go to these places. You don't have to take my word for it. This quote from a top executive at Shell says it all. Even the big oil companies know that the future isn't the pump. It's what's inside the store. Think about it. The average person buys gas maybe twice a month, but they might stop at a convenience store 3 or more times a week. That's the prize everyone is fighting for now. So when you put all the pieces together, the picture becomes crystal clear. Those 645 closures, that's just the painful first step of cleaning up their portfolio. The 205 new stores, that's the transformation into those food destinations. And the intense focus on food and delivery, well, that's the ultimate goal, winning you over for what's inside the store, not just for the pump outside. So,
In the end, 7-Eleven is essentially trying to kill its old self so it can be reborn. It's a pretty brutal but absolutely necessary act of corporate reinvention. And after all this, the success of this billion-dollar gamble really comes down to one simple question. The next time you're hungry, will you actually choose to go to a 7-Eleven